guys, welcome back to another video. We have some more updates for Xbox, Activision, Blizzard, and this one starting off here is support by the EGDF, which is the European Games Developer Federation. And the European Games Developer Federation, I just quickly read through what they're all about. They were founded in November 2006, and they represent 500 studios that have employed over 15,500 people across game development studios across Europe, Sweden, Paris, France, Germany, Britain, the Netherlands, all these places. And it's just an association defending video games as an art form, as culture within Europe. And they have written something here to defend and before the Activision Blizzard acquisition. They come up with 3 points here, and I think these are all pretty interesting points in this letter that they have written. So it says here, today, EGDF was invited to join a formal European Commission oral hearing on the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft. EGDF underlined that the more global platforms and publishers compete on European content, the better for European game developers. In particular, EGDF highlighted that game markets have changed. The Commission should widen its perspective from console market sector specific competition concerns to evaluating the impact of the acquisition on game markets in general. And that's been one of the, I would say, most interesting, eye-opening things from these regulators that kind of show that they don't fully understand the gaming industry and kind of where it's going and how it's evolved past just the market sector, because that's one of the main things that they did focus on in a lot of the pushback and a lot of the documents that have come out with their findings against this deal, was that they thought that this was going to foreclose console makers, foreclose PlayStation, and hurt the console market, when we're in a time now that it's obvious that we are expanding far beyond the console as the main driver for competition within the gaming industry, with Game Pass, with cloud gaming, with PlayStation and PlayStation Plus stuff going out there. And then they even had PlayStation Now before Xbox Cloud Gaming and before Xbox Game Pass, which was their cloud service. And you saw stuff like Google Stadia that obviously failed, Amazon Luna, GeForce Now, all of these different avenues of gaming. Cloud is definitely going to be the future. Subscription is going to be the future, and more people are going to have access than ever before. But they really do focus on the console side of things here, which is just the bread and butter of PlayStation, to be completely honest. In recent years, Tencent has invested in game developer studios and publishers across the globe, and it is currently the biggest game developer and publisher on the planet. It is crucial for European game developers to have a strong competitor for Tencent as a game developer, publisher, and investor in the global markets. And I think that this is a pretty good point here. Tencent is the biggest, and there needs to be a company that can really compete on a power and a financial level as Tencent. And I'm not saying that I want everything to be consolidated, absolutely not. But Microsoft, with the platform that they have and the money that they have, they're going to be able to do this. And if this deal does go through, it's really going to help them in competing with the biggest game company right now in the world, which is Tencent. And they're huge, and they're continuing to grow, and they're trying to expand even more out into North America. So they're going to be coming, and they're going to be trying to take over game markets everywhere. Their second point here: the future is cross-platform. On the other hand, new game engines have made multi-platform game development easier than before, and game developers are constantly experimenting on different platforms and are ready to move from one platform to another. On the other hand, the processing power of smartphones have reached the levels of some laptops and consoles, and that's something that, although I don't play mobile games, it's pretty crazy to see. I look at some of these games out there on my phone that I could just download right now, and they look pretty impressive for something that's running on a smartphone compared to what they were back in the day, where they were just mostly those smaller, like touch style games, like Tetris style games, you could say, or like, I don't know, Angry Birds. Those graphics were cool, but they weren't like that intensive compared to some of the stuff that we are seeing now on smartphones, which is pretty crazy. And we're getting to a point where in the future, I think that we're going to be able to be playing these bigger AAA games on phones. There's going to be phones that come out, and the technology is going to get so good that they're going to probably be in the same sleek form factor, not too big and bulky, where we're going to eventually be able to play like almost AAA games on your phone. And it won't be as big as having to play it on something like the Steam Deck. No, I love the Steam Deck. I can't stand touch controls on phones. I can't stand small little things like the Joy-Cons, even on the Nintendo Switch, are hard for my hands. So I love the bigger form factor, but we're getting to that point where technology is continuously improving, that smartphones are going to have a huge role going forward. Even though they already still right now probably have the biggest role, because it's the easiest access to all gamers, which is why Microsoft wants this deal with King and all the mobile stuff. Continues here and says, as a result, game genres that were once exclusive to PC or console are now available on cross-platform stores like Microsoft Store, console plus PC plus mobile, and the Google Play mobile plus PC store. When Digital Markets Act DMA fully opens mobile gatekeeper platforms for competing third-party application stores in the EU, Activision Blizzard acquisition enables Microsoft to widen its scope to the mobile platform and challenge Apple and Google. And this was one of the biggest things for this deal, like I just said, the mobile side of things. We even heard of the reports that Microsoft was working on their own app store for phones where you could go in and download their games, where you probably would go in and get all of the stuff that would be available on Game Pass Mobile, Cloud Gaming, Activision games, Call of Duty Mobile, Diablo Mobile. All that stuff will probably be in that store. And that's going to be huge because it is right now a duopoly, Apple and Google, when it comes to the game stores on phones. They're the dominant ones, and nobody has been able to even attempt to get in against Apple and Google. Continues here and says, by doing so, Microsoft is paving the way for European game industry SMEs with insufficient financial resources to build their own third-party application stores under the current legal uncertainty. Similarly, after Google killed its own subscription service Stadia, it is essential to have a strong competitor for Apple in the game subscription service on Apple platforms. Yeah, because Apple does actually, they always forget about Apple. They have their game subscription thing. It's with mobile games. So I guess that's one of the biggest difference. It's not similar at all, I would say, in terms of the value you're getting out of it, although it is cheap to get in. But compared to Game Pass, where you're getting AAA games, these big first-party games, big third-party games. I mean, we just got Atomic Heart on Game Pass, which I've been playing about 6 hours into it, just blowing me away how good that game looks and just how creative it is. I'm loving Atomic Heart. Apple doesn't offer that within their subscription service. It's more of the mobile side, the smaller style of games, but still nobody's able to compete with that. And people forget how big of a market mobile phones are. It's not just about console, and it's not just about the bigger games that you play on the subscription service. People need competition for Apple and for Google when it comes to mobile gaming. The future is uncertain. So this is point number 3. Games are the forerunner of digital markets. What makes financial sense today does not necessarily do so tomorrow. All Microsoft commitments should be backed up with the rigorous compliance and enforcement mechanisms. Example, should the commission want to ensure Call of Duty is available to competitors, it should also secure content, feature, price, and release date parity in doing so, or while doing so. So, I mean, they've already committed to that. Call of Duty is going to have parity in terms of contents, feature, and then the release dates and stuff. I don't think they've actually said anything about price. If you remember, Jeff Keighley got some heat for this because he asked on Twitter with the announcement from Brad Smith about the 10-year deal with Call of Duty to the Nintendo Switch. He asked, is there going to be parity in price? And he got tons of heat from people calling him a PlayStation fanboy because that was the first thing he asked. But to be fair, if you're looking at this from an objective point of view, if you're looking at this not from Xbox is the good guy and PlayStation is the bad guy, or vice versa, if they're going to be parity with Call of Duty, you have to ask, is the pricing going to be the same across all the platforms? You would assume so. I don't see why they would release Call of Duty for $10 more on PlayStation and the Nintendo Switch, and then $10 cheaper on the Xbox console. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be a good look. They would be losing out on that $10 because people are going to buy Call of Duty no matter what. And the $10 that they would save in order to get people over to Xbox, it probably wouldn't really level out for a great return on investment. So I'm assuming the price parity is going to be the same, but it definitely is a question that is worth asking. And then continues on here, where I guess is the most important part if you're looking at what this means for this deal and what this organization is thinking about it. They are supporting this acquisition. They say EGDF supports Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition as its potential positive impacts on the competition in the game markets in general outweigh the limited console and subscription market specific competition concerns. So they believe that this impact will have more positive impact on competition within the game markets than the concerns of the consoles that a lot of these regulators are bringing up. And this is something that I've said on my videos multiple times. Again, trying to be, obviously I'm a Xbox centric channel. I love Xbox. I also have a PS5, but from an objective point of view, this deal I think has a lot more positive impacts for gamers overall on Xbox, on PlayStation, on Nintendo, if this goes through. If it doesn't go through, I think there'll be a lot more negative effects, and that could be in the way that Xbox is pissed off. They're no more Mr. Nice Guy. They're taking that $70 billion minus the fee that they would have to pay. So let's say $65 billion, and they're spending it on money hatting stuff and making exclusives to Xbox, third-party exclusives, all of the stuff that PlayStation does, which I think is bad for gamers. And timed exclusivity, those things I just don't like. So if this goes through, we're going to see more people gaining access to games than we've ever seen before. If it gets blocked, I think we're going to see less access. But I just want to talk about this because it was a pretty interesting letter from the EGDF, the European Games Developer Federation, that houses over 15,500 developers and over 500 studios, making their stance that they support the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You want to stay up to date on everything with this deal. You want to stay up to date on Xbox news, on gaming news. You're in the right spot. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.